Unfortunately, I had to do another video on one of the common problems of the 996, and it was actually one that I didn't really know about. Hello from Arizona. It's morning here in Tucson. Today we are going to have a video about replacing the ignition switch on my 2002 C4. Apparently this is a pretty common problem with the 996s. The part that we're going to change out and the part that I ordered is simply it's anywhere from 10 to 35 bucks, 10 to 50 bucks, depending on where you order it. So basically the symptoms that I had was the key sticking. Initially, you know, normally when you turn a car off, it goes right to the spot where you need it to pull it out. With mine, key would go to the left, the car would go off, but then I'd have to rotate it slightly to the left to pull the key out. Consequently, the other night, I was out driving, taking some photos at night, and got back in the car, turned the car on, and the headlights wouldn't turn on, and I had to slightly rotate the key to the left to get it into the appropriate spot so the car knew where it was so the lights would work. And then when I got home, it was hard to get out, and at this point I can't even get the key into the ignition. Today what we're going to do is we're just going to follow a DIY that I found online, take the part out, make sure that I have the original ignition module so that I can use the part that I ordered. Otherwise I'm going to have to order the updated part that goes with the whole new setup. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to follow those steps. I'm going to pull it out, check it out, and then when the new one comes in, we'll finish up the video and put it in. Hopefully it'll work. Thanks for watching, guys. When you're doing anything with electrical stuff on your cars, we're going to disconnect the battery. So I'm going to grab my socket set and we'll get started. 10 millimeter, I believe. So we're just going to take the negative off. What we need to do here is crawl underneath and have a look. First things first, sounds like we just have to compress this. This light's not working very well. Compress this enough to get it off here. Okay. Apologize for the poor lighting and the grunting noises. There we go. This side over here is also moves. So you kind of compress it and push this part back and then just slide it off on this side. And that little guy right there, that's the purple switch we want to get off. And if you read any of the DIY instructions, you can see the little red marks there with the paint. That's where the screws are that take that out. But I'm trying to scrape some of this paint off so I can see the first screw. Hopefully that helps. And then the second screw is right over there. You see it up in there? I'm not sure if you can see it. Hopefully you can. Had some trouble yesterday. Didn't get the part out. So I'm going to try this little screwdriver here. See if I can get my hand on it. Otherwise, if I can't get that out of there, I'm going to go ahead and pull this little piece. And there's a duct that runs to this vent, and it's kind of in the way down there. I'm going to pull that out if I cannot get it with this screwdriver. So here we go. Yeah, that's not going to work. I'm just going to take the duct off. I couldn't get the screwdriver in there. Total pain in the butt. I think some people are able to do it, but I just couldn't. Got frustrated. So I'm going to take these two guys out. These are Torx. And then I've got to pull this out, stick a screwdriver. There's a little slot in here, and I'll show you a different angle as well. You got to pull this knob off. We're going to just kind of pull this away, and I think that allows us to just move the little duct. for the vent out of the way. So here's the back of this. There's a little spring right here where you push your screwdriver inside. You can see the little notch. So this is actually on there. You push your screwdriver in there and just the knob pulls right off. So it's pretty straightforward to do. Removed these two T20s. And now, I don't know if you can see it in there, but there's a T20 right here that we have to remove. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. But when you're pulling this part off, once you take these two screws out and you take this little screw out, you just kind of got to get your fingers on the sides and kind of wiggle it back and forth to pull it out. It is tight. Be careful of the wires that are connected, but it comes out of here eventually and then just kind of hangs out of the way. But after you do that, you undo that Phillips head screw. This will now be loose, and then we can go underneath and see if we can manipulate that duct out of the way. So this is the duct that we just loosened up top. So now we can move it out of the way. I'm gonna leave the camera on, but I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this because it's really pretty cramped down here. I ended up having to use this little screwdriver. And you can see on the bottom screw, it's already kind of out. On the upper screw, it really takes, I read somewhere that these were kind of loose, but mine weren't. I had to get some pretty good force in there to loosen them. Now you can see the screws out here, and we'll pull this little part out here in a second. Here is the old one. I don't really see, I mean, there's a little bit of discoloration on some of these little pins. And then the back is a little bit discolored. And here's the new one. So I did not have the new whole ignition unit, just the switch. I needed to just replace the switch, which is cool. So I guess this is the original, I'm guessing. It might not be. I'm kind of thinking it is because the red paint on the little screws was still thick and never taken apart. So I'm going to get this in here. I will try to film it, but not sure if that's going to happen because it's real tight. Okay, so that end plugs in. You can actually see on these little fins on the sides, it really only goes in one way because the screw goes into those grooves. It's going to plug in this way, and then the screws will slide into these grooves right here. This side is flat, and you can see the little grooves on those other ones. So that kind of tells you what direction it's supposed to slide in. So now we have to line up this plug with the ignition switch that we just put in. So there it is, all plugged back in. You see that little white, 3 little white marks, is 1 big and 2 little ones. Those apparently line up with the fins on the ignition switch, so plugged right in. So here I've thread this back up from the bottom because I pulled it out. And again, you can see that, I think I showed you that earlier, that screw right in the back there. So the way I'm doing this is put my finger on the screw until I feel the bolt go in to the little hole here that's in the, I guess, the firewall or something. And I have a long Phillips head that I'll use to tighten that. This is just the piece that goes underneath. This part hooks to the duct that I pulled out from the left side behind there, and then the other side just goes to the right. And if you just compress this, it goes together. It's a little bit of a pain to get on and off, but it goes pretty quick. So this part here is a little bit tricky. You have to feed the scoop here into the other duct, or the duct on this part from the vent into that duct there. And it was real tight getting it out, so I'm assuming it's going to be similarly tight getting back in. There's a little bit of, behind here, there's a little bit of a plastic ring that this part slides into, and then the duct slides into the top, and then you just kind of push it back in. I got some dirt. I wanted to show you too, this is the screwdriver I ended up using. Put the negative cable back on, put the little battery cover on. Now, the moment of truth. So the lights work. So that's good. We got her. There we go. That was actually a pretty quick install. It literally took me maybe 15 minutes to get that ignition switch back in, get the bolts tightened, get the plug back in, and getting the duct worked all replaced. It was actually really quick. My suggestion is, if you're doing this job, go ahead and remove the little panel in front and take that duct out of the way, because that really caused me, I mean, a lot of pain trying to fight with that in the way and trying to get the screwdriver up in there. Once I took that off, it was really pretty straightforward once I got the right screwdriver. It's really not a hard job. It literally should only take you about 30 minutes if you have the right tools. Unfortunately, I had to do another video on one of the common problems of the 996, and it was actually one that I didn't really know about. I had never really come across the problem. At least I don't recall that I had. But thankfully, an easy fix, and hopefully it won't go out again. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like the video and it's helpful, hit like and subscribe. Appreciate you watching.